Amid the riddles of life, humanity has long wrestled with the notion of ego. Like the seductive song of a siren, the ego lures us into a false sense of identity, causing us to place worth on titles, material possessions, and societal standings. Yet, in the shadows of the self-serving voice lies our true essence, the divine spark that connects us all. Ego is the unobserved mind that runs your life when you are not present as a witnessing consciousness. This was observed by Eckhart Tolle, a sage who has dedicated his life to the inner workings of consciousness. The ego plays a delicate game, often leading us astray with its whispers of grandiosity and entitlement. I'll provide you with an allegory to consider. So imagine, if you will, walking through a desert, thirsty and desperate for water. There in the distance, you see an oasis with shimmering water and trees. As you race towards it, it keeps receding until you realize it's only a mirage. The ego is similar. It paints pictures of titles and successes, making them appear as if they are the ultimate goals of our existence. But like the mirage, these are transient and can evaporate in a moment's notice. In the pursuit of upholding our titles or the facade the ego has painted, we often change ourselves, sometimes for the worst. The ego convinces us that changing our appearances or flaunting our achievements will gain us more respect, admiration, and love. Sadly, these superficial changes can drive a wedge between our true self and the world, making us prisoners of our own illusions. Saint Augustine once remarked, and I quote, "It was pride that changed angels into devils. It is humility that makes men as angels," unquote. Humility is the antithesis of ego. Where ego seeks to elevate oneself above others, humility places everyone on the same plane, recognizing the divine in each individual. Squashing the ego and embracing the divine within is a transformative journey. The ego acts as an artful magician, dazzling us with illusions of grandeur and self-importance. Much like Plato's allegory of the cave, where individuals are confined in the cave, observing mere shadows of reality. The ego entangles us in a similar illusion, convincing us that these shadows, our titles, our achievements, and outward appearances are the entirety of our reality. Eckhart Tolle once insightfully observed, and I quote, "Ego is the unobserved mind that runs your life when you are not present as a witnessing consciousness," unquote. In this sly, subtle way, the ego operates in the shadows, quietly influencing our decisions, our reactions, and desires. The ego thrives in a state of unawareness, leading us further from our truth self and deeper into a life driven by superficial desires and validations. As we become ensnared by the ego's alluring promises, we often do not realize the price we pay. This price is not limited to our personal well-being. It reverberates throughout our relationships, our communities, and even our society. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, eloquently noted, and I quote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength," unquote. But in the blind pursuit, fueled by ego, we mistakenly seek control over external validations and praises, drifting further from the inner strength Aurelius speaks of. Our history and our literature are filled with cautionary stories and narratives of those who, having ascended to the zenith of societal success, find themselves isolated, find themselves misunderstood, and deeply unfulfilled. Consider the true story of King Midas. He was so blessed with the power to turn everything he touched into gold. He soon realized the curse that came with it, as he could no longer embrace his beloved daughter or savor life's simple joys. Such is the nature of ego-driven desires. They often bring fleeting happiness at the expense of enduring contentment. Moreover, the universe, in its profound wisdom, maintains equilibrium. Each action sets off a ripple of reactions. And while these reactions might not manifest immediately, they remain inevitable. The ancient doctrine of the Bhagavad Gita elucidates the concept of karma, emphasizing the cosmic law of cause and effect. Actions steeped in ego, lacking in broader vision or compassion, sow seeds of future turmoil. Ignoring or undermining someone based on perceived lesser status or wealth isn't merely an act of arrogance. It's an oversight of the interdependence of life. Today's opponent could be tomorrow's ally, and the heart we slight today may be the one we seek solace in tomorrow. Confucius wisely said, and I quote, "Real knowledge is to know the extent of one's arrogance," unquote. A true understanding of our place in the grand scheme requires transcending the ego and recognizing the divine in each person we encounter. If we are to journey toward a life of meaning and fulfillment, it becomes essential to tame and train and understand the ego. This does not mean its complete eradication, but rather recognizing its whispers and then choosing not to be led astray. Instead of seeking external validations, we must turn inward. The true essence of love, validation, and purpose emanates from the divine spark within us. This inner connection brings a sense of contentment that no external achievement can even match. Mahatma Gandhi, a paragon of humility and service, aptly remarked, and I quote, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." unquote. Acts of service, compassion, and genuine love draw us away from the ego's snares and then bring us closer to our divine essence. The ego, when unchecked, can mislead us down pathways of delusion and separation. Yet, by recognizing its tricks and consciously choosing to align with the divine within, we can navigate life with purpose, with compassion, and a profound connection to all beings. The poetic musings of Rumi, the Persian poet, serve as a gentle reminder, and I quote, "Ignore those that make you fearful and sad, that degrade you back towards disease and death," unquote. May we rise above the seductive calls of ego, and may we dance in harmony with the divine rhythm that celebrates our shared essence. Remember, every person, regardless of stature or background, embarks on the same essential quest for meaning, for purpose and connection. At our core, stripped of titles and possessions, we all share the same human desires and fears. And in our most genuine of moments of introspection, we recognize the transitory nature of material and social achievements. The danger of ego lies not in its existence, but in its dominance. When it becomes the loudest voice in the room, drowning out the whispers of our divine intuition and divine connection, we then stray away from our authentic selves. The ego has a way of convincing us that we are separate, not just from others, but from the very essence of life itself. But this belief in separation is an illusion. The divine, as a universal force, does not recognize these boundaries and distinctions the ego clings to. Think of a droplet of water in the vast ocean. Alone, it might feel insignificant. But when it realizes it's part of the grand ocean, its perspective shifts. Similarly, by diminishing the ego's stranglehold and fostering a deep connection with the divine, we recognize our place in the larger universal dance. We begin to see that we are both the droplet and the ocean, distinct yet intrinsically linked to a greater whole. And here's another quote from Rumi, the Persian poet, and I quote, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop," unquote. This metaphor reveals our inherently unity with the cosmic fabric, reminding us of the vastness and our connections with each other and the divine. Here's an affirmation I'd like to share with you. I embrace my true self, free from the binds of ego, and stand in the light of humility, authenticity, and divine connection. The path to diminishing ego is not about suppression, but about balance and alignment. It is a journey of daily introspection, self-awareness, and a conscious choice. Practicing mindfulness, meditation, and acts of selfless service can aid us in this endeavor, creating moments where we transcend the ego and feel our connection to the divine. Leo Tolstoy, in his reflections on life's meaning, noted, and I quote, "Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself, herself." Unquote. The true revolution starts within, by squashing the ego and nurturing our divine connection. We not only transform ourselves, but influence the world around us. As we radiate authenticity, compassion, and love, we inspire others to embark on their journey towards self-discovery and divine connection. The ego serves as both a challenge and a teacher. The ego's whispers can mislead, but they also offer us a chance to choose a different path. One of humility, connection, and divine understanding. As we navigate the intricacies of life, may we consistently choose the path that draws us closer to our true essence, recognizing the divine spark in ourselves and in every soul we encounter. Dear God, I come before Thee, seeking Thy guidance and protection, asking that Thou never let me be consumed by any egoistic tendencies. Fill my heart with humility and compassion, that I may walk in the light of Thy love and serve others selflessly. Help me remain mindful of Thy divine presence, surrendering my ego to Thy will. Amen. If these insights have touched or inspired you, kindly consider sharing this podcast, available on all platforms within your circle. Together, we can heal our world, one person and one message at a time.